The road was never meant to be theirs. It curved like a silver ribbon through 20 acres of pine and cedar, cutting across land that had been in my family for 3 generations. Gravel crunched beneath tires in a way that felt familiar, intimate, like the sound of home. My grandfather laid that road himself in 1968. He had hired 3 men, 2 bulldozers, and paid entirely in cash. There were no fancy surveys back then, just handshake agreements and fence posts marking where neighbors respected boundaries. It was private. Always had been. When I inherited the property outside of Asheville, I kept everything exactly the way it was, including that gravel access road. It connected my cabin to the county highway and ran along the edge of a newer development called Silver Pines Estates. Silver Pines had one of those immaculate entrances, stone pillars, manicured hedges, and a wooden sign that read, that phrase should have warned me, a covenant community.
Translation, Hoa.
At first, we coexisted peacefully. Their paved subdivision streets ended at the property line. My gravel road began there. Then one Monday morning, I drove home and nearly hit a brand new metal sign bolted into the ground. My road. My name wasn't anywhere on it. Instead, below the sign was the official logo of the Silver Pines Homeowners Association. And that's when I knew something had changed. I attended the next HOA meeting out of curiosity. The clubhouse was decorated in beige and authority. A long folding table at the front held 3 board members. The president, Denise Harper, wore pearls and the expression of someone who believed she owned the air supply. When I introduced myself, there was a pause. "Oh," she said, "you're the cabin, not Mr. Walker. Not the neighbor. The cabin. We recently formalized access rights for the connecting road." Denise continued smoothly. "It benefits the community." I blinked. "You mean my road?" She smiled. It was determined to be shared access land. Determined by who? Our legal review. That was the first time I heard the phrase prescriptive easement. They claimed that because residents had occasionally used my gravel road over the years, delivery trucks, joggers, a couple of kids on bikes, the HOA had established a right of use. They hadn't asked. They hadn't notified me. They just installed signs and updated their neighborhood map.
I didn't argue that night.
I went home and opened my grandfather's filing cabinet. Old land deeds are fascinating things. My grandfather kept everything, survey maps, tax receipts, notarized agreements. And there it was, a 1968 stamped county survey clearly outlining the boundaries. The gravel road was entirely on our parcel. No shared easement. No recorded access agreement. Nothing. I hired my own land surveyor the next week. When the fresh stakes went into the ground, the truth was undeniable. The HOA sign sat 14 feet inside my property. 14. I sent a certified letter requesting immediate removal. Denise replied with a different kind of letter, one from their attorney. They claimed long-term use created rights. They suggested I avoid escalation. That word made me smile, because escalation is a ladder, and I had time. I didn't sue immediately. Instead, I did something better. I applied for a county permit to upgrade my private road. If it was mine and I could improve it however I wanted. The permit was approved in 3 weeks. 2 days later, heavy machinery rolled in. Dump trucks, excavators, concrete mixers. Silver Pines residents watched in horror as my quaint gravel path became an active construction zone. I widened it, added drainage culverts, installed speed bumps, large ones. Then I placed a temporary gate at the entrance with a keypad. Access by code only. And guess who didn't get the code? Within 48 hours, chaos spread through the subdivision. That little gravel shortcut had shaved 6 minutes off residents' commute to the highway. Without it, they had to loop through an older county road notorious for morning traffic. I received 3 angry emails, 5 voicemail messages, 1 letter accusing me of retaliatory infrastructure modification. I replied politely, "This is a private road improvement project." Denise demanded an emergency HOA meeting. This time, I attended with my surveyor and copies of the original deed. When the documents were placed on the folding table, Silence fell like a dropped curtain. You can't restrict access, Denise insisted weakly. I can, I said calmly, because you never had it. They could have negotiated. Instead, they doubled down. The HOA filed a lawsuit claiming historical access rights. That's when I hired Thomas Reed, a property attorney with 30 years of experience and the patience of a chess player. In court, the judge asked one simple question: is there any recorded easement? Their attorney shuffled papers. No, Your Honor.
Case dismissed. Just like that.
You'd think that would be the end. It wasn't, because during legal discovery something interesting surfaced. The HOA had quietly reclassified my road on internal neighborhood documents as community access infrastructure 2 years earlier. Without notification. Without consent. That meant they knowingly misrepresented property boundaries in official filings. Thomas leaned back in his chair when he read that. Oh, he said softly. Now it's our turn. Instead of revenge, I chose exposure. We requested a county compliance review of Silver Pine's common areas. Turns out, 2 fences crossed property lines, a drainage system violated runoff regulations, street lighting encroached into setback zones, fines were issued. Expensive ones. Residents began asking questions. Why are we paying penalties? Why didn't the board verify ownership? Denise's confidence evaporated. I never touched a single vehicle. But something strange happened. Because once the road became gated and legally private, residents could no longer park overflow vehicles along its shoulder. County enforcement began ticketing cars left outside designated HOA property. Towing companies followed. Within 1 month, dozens of vehicles had been removed, legally. The irony was delicious. They accused me of making cars disappear. I simply enforced my boundary. At the next annual election, Denise Harper was voted out. 3 new board members took over. Their first act, they approached me with an apology. They offered to pay legal fees, remove all misleading documentation, install proper signage, marking the true property line. I agreed, under one condition. They fund the paving of the remaining stretch of my road, with a formal, recorded agreement acknowledging it as mine. They signed. Today, the road is smooth asphalt. A small sign at the entrance reads, Silver Pines residents use their longer route. No more shortcuts. No more assumptions. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's measured in paperwork, patience, and knowing exactly when to open the filing cabinet. They took my road without asking. So I took back control, legally. And that was far more satisfying.